Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, when or wherever you may be. Now, I decided to make this video because I think there are a couple of points, a couple of ideas that we should talk about and that we should take in. Because you see, with all of what is happening in Iran, there has been a lot of emotional noise all over the world. And I'm not just talking about the United States, I'm talking about the rest of the world. And people have been talking about things like world wars, they have been talking about a lot of stuff. And if I recognize that there is a risk of such things happening, I think we are diverting from the true genesis of this war. And the genesis of this war, it has a couple of origins that we should consider. Number one, we should call this a war. This is a war of America and Israel against Iran. This is how we must address this, okay? It's nothing more and nothing less, okay? People have come to consider a war from the perspective of a world war, of many countries against many other countries, and a couple of them being neutral and not wanting to get involved. But a war is effectively an aggression from a state against another state. Okay, so let's get that out of the way, because I don't want you to be lost in semantics regarding this aspect. Now, let's continue. People are saying a lot of things. They are saying this is a distraction from the Epstein files. The Trump Epstein files. That is how I call them. And they are right. This is providing a needed distraction from that little doozy that Mr. Trump has to deal with inside of the United States. People are saying this has to do with Israel, that has always wanted the United States to invade Iran. Okay, you can go online. Okay, you can, I don't know, go back to old YouTube videos, and you will see in each and every one of them Benjamin Netanyahu is always talking about the risk of Iran developing a nuclear bomb, that they are going to invade at any moment, and all of that. You can go back and you will see that. And of course, you know that Iran is subsidizing or giving at least support to things like Hezbollah and other so-called, some of them real terrorists, others not terrorists, okay? But Iran is supporting them too. Iran is also helping Russia, for example, with the Shahid drones and a lot of things. But let's continue. You can also say this is basically a Muslim civil war. Because if you don't know this, and you should know it before you start talking about it, most of the Iranians are Shiite. And other countries in the region, like for example the Saudi Arabia, that is competing to be the dominant power in the region, they are Sunni. And the Shiite it's basically like this. Imagine the Shiite to be very more simplistic for a Christian to understand this. Imagine that the Shiite are the Protestants and that the Sunni are the Catholics, meaning the Sunni are more laid back and the Shiite are more extremists. Do you understand? This is the difference between them. You can also go by that avenue. You also have to consider that the Shah was installed by the Americans and their proxies the United Kingdom. Sorry, my British friends, but it's the truth. He was installed in power because the democratically elected, corrupt or not, entity that was ruling Iran after the downfall of the Shah, they wanted to take over their oil fields and their riches, the riches of their country, and all of that. So they installed the Shah for the Shah to maintain the steady flow of oil to the Western world, in this case to United Kingdom and to the US, steady and profitable, and also to have an ally in the region beyond Israel and the other, and then the Gulf states that came afterwards. Okay, you also have to understand that, and you also have to understand that the revolution that happened. Sorry, I'm missing. I'm sorry, I'm a bit tired. The revolution that took over Iran and installed the regime of the Ayatollahs, it had a cultural base. Okay, this was not something that was born out of nowhere. The Shah was notoriously oppressive. He oppressed people. He killed people. He murdered people. He jailed people. He tortured people. Okay, he used all the tools in the toolbox to, let's say, keep himself in power. And you would say, well, but at least women and people, they had a bit more of freedom and all of that. Yes, that is also true. Okay, you cannot look at the world from a black and white perspective, or you will only see gray. Okay, you have to look at the world for what it is. But in the other hand, imagine being yourself in the shoes of someone that has been jailed and tortured, or that has the family that have gone through that, and also remember economic turmoil and all of that, and imagine how would you react. You will perhaps get back to your roots. And imagine if you are a Portuguese here, for example, you might think, I think I'm going to become a radical Catholic. And I'm not joking, okay? Some people make jokes about this, but if there is an event such as that, people will hold on to what is comfortable to them, what makes them feel safe. And living in a theocratic world is safe from a mental perspective, because you don't need to worry about anything. Those we call it radicalized. I call it defense mechanism, because those people in Iran right now that are dying, they are martyrs for them. The soldiers that might die and are dying also, they are martyrs for them. So what the United States has done with this is reinforcing the power of the regime, because people are going to fall down to what is comfortable for them. And that regime, it has its rules very clear. Do this, act like this, nothing will happen with you. You can work, you can take care of your children, you can take them to school, but you obey our rules. And people are going to fall down to that. Effectively, what this has done is destroyed the revolution. But now, also speaking about this, I have to tell you this. This is a very volatile situation, because me, personally, and I think almost everyone around the world, we don't know to what degree is the resolve of the Iranians. Okay? We don't know how technically able is the revolutionist guard, Islamic Guard, Republican Islamic Guard is. We don't know how large is the dissent inside of the country, beyond the obvious signs that we saw from the outside. We don't know anything about it. What we do know is that this war has provided them with a common enemy that already was an enemy and that already had done all of these things in the past to them. And people keep talking about, oh, the Shah is going to return and do this and do that. If the former Shah had done to your family what he did, or to your friends, or to the people that you know, whatever, would you support such a person again? Would you take the risk of having the same thing all over again? And you can say, oh, it's this in different times and that and that. You are not living in their world. You are not living in the world these people are living in. You are not living in a country filled with young people looking for a job, looking for being able to sustain themselves and their families. You are not living in that world. You are not living in the world of a sanctioned country that is unable to source whatever it needs from the outside, where it's very hard, where you have to ally yourselves to an autocrat in the north. You are not living in their world. You keep seeing Iran from the perspective, and I'm not going to say a Westerner, because that is wrong. You are not seeing their perspective. You are seeing the perspective from the region where you come from. You are seeing it from the perspective of an American, of an European, even of a Russian, even of a Chinese. You are seeing this situation from your perspective. And I know China is supporting Iran because they already had commercial military cooperation and all of that. But if you think they are not looking at this as an opportunity to profit, then you are very naive too, because that is also what is behind all of this. And we are looking at this war from the perspective of the Western world now, in this case. And the only people that I'm seeing with a bit of a cool head in the West is the EU and the UK. The UK Starmer has surprised me with his candor, with the way that he's been dealing with this. He might salvage a bit of the early respect that I had for him with all of this, because what we are doing is protecting Cyprus and also protecting other allies in the Gulf region, but no one is protecting American bases. And this is something that you need to understand. And you also need to understand why Iran is attacking energy. Why it will attack desalinization plants. Why it will attack the boats. He is already attacking the supply, the boats passing through the Hormuz Strait. Why it's trying to shut it down? Because they are attacking the base of power of the Americans. They are attacking their bases to blind their radars. And they are in the most funny, and it's not funny, but you understand what I'm trying to say, aspect of this, is that they are doing it with very cheap and low-tech means. They are sending cheap drones, and if you send enough drones, one will hit. And for example, I saw a report here, and it was very interesting, and I heard a Portuguese military expert, let's call it like this, he's in the military, talking about it on the radio, that there was this example. I think it was in Qatar. I don't want to mislead you, but it was something like that. they sent drones supposedly to attack a refinery. And while those drones were attacking the refinery, they sent more drones to attack a American military base, and they destroyed a radar grid. That base now, until they are able to repair it, is technically blind. It's useless. Okay, you have to use alternative means to protect the base. And they are going to do this always. And then they are going to grow, descend inside of Qatar, of Dubai, of Bahrain, all of that. It's going to grow. But it won't be descent against the Iranians. It will be against the Americans, because it will come to a point that these governments will say, look, we are stopping this. We are not supporting this American war. Let's cut a deal here and let's return to center. You understand what I'm trying to say? And people will say, well, but Saudi Arabia is also profiting. I hear this from American YouTubers. Saudi Arabia is also profiting, and Kuwait and Iraq and all those countries, they are profiting because now they are selling more oil. Oil will be more expensive, and I will tell you, yes, they are using this to do so. But this is not something that they can support in the long run, because a lot of those countries depend on fresh food being sent to them, because they cannot grow it, they cannot produce it. They base their water supplies in desalination plants, and this includes Israel. And despite what Mr. Trump says, you cannot produce enough ammunition to solve this war, because your enemy, look, it's just like the Mujahideen in Afghanistan with the Russians. They used RPGs, it's simple sayings, and they completely destroyed the larger Soviet, the larger Soviet army. They completely butchered them using low-tech sayings. Because in war, what counts, it's not big flashy weapons. You can have the most high-tech missile that you can produce. But look, let's go back in history. By the end of the war, 1 year before the end of the war, 1 year or 2 years before the end of the war, the Germans had the best tanks, the best machine guns, the first automatic machine guns, okay, the best pistols. They even had jets. What good did that do to them? They could not produce enough ammunitions. They could not protect enough soldiers to keep them fighting. They could not supply enough food to the population and to the soldiers. They had all of these wonderful weapons, very high-tech, very advanced, and yet they lost the war. Do you see the parallels? The United States has great jets. It has high-tech weapons. The Americans, they are really experts in killing. They have all of these nice weapons. Now tell me, I can produce a wonderful jet that will bomb precisely what I want it to bomb. What good does that do to me if my enemy can send, if I destroy 50 drones, if my enemy sends in 100 drones, 50 drones will pass. And all of those drones combined, they are cheaper than my great, wonderful jet. War is to be practical. Remember Rome. Rome had an absolutely impeccable army, very disciplined, very well armed. It is legendary, the fact that a Roman army would act as a unit. They had the best armor, the best swords, the best archers, the best tactics, all of that. And they were effective when they were fighting against some kind of barbarian rabble that really didn't have the same techniques as they had. But when they fought guerrilla warfare in Germany and in Portugal, they lost very much. When I mean Portugal, I mean Lusitania, which was the western part of the Iberian Peninsula that includes Spain and Portugal. The only way they were able to sustain their power in the Iberian Peninsula, it was, for example, to occupy the large urban centers, bribe and conquer the local leaders, okay, kidnap their children in order to make them submit, and after that bribe them with lands and all of that to keep them nice and quiet. This is how they did it all over the Iberian Peninsula, with intervals of very very bloody conflicts. But this is what happened. This is in the history books, and you can go back and read about it. And in Germany, they built a wall because it was not technically possible for them, and I will tell you this, to invade and conquer outer Germany. So they settled on their historic, borders, and they kept the so-called barbarians in the outside. And the barbarians ultimately developed enough to enter in a decaying Roman Empire and conquer it and divide it. But it was already rotting from the inside. But that is another story, and it's not relevant for what we are talking about right here, right now. Now, what you have to understand is that there are multiple causes for what is happening. Okay? But you cannot focus yourself solely on what people are trying to tell you, because it's one of the causes. It's like you are looking at something and you are only seeing a part of what it is. Okay? You have to focus that this has multiple causes, and this has reasons that go far beyond all of this noise that everyone is spreading across the killing field, so to speak. Yes, it's distracting from the Epstein files, and yes, the American stock market is earning a lot of money. People that are investing in this regime, they are earning a lot of money because the dollar is getting more valuable, or at least more sustained, because this is the petrodollar. Let's not forget about it. So higher prices of oil, higher dollar value, and people that are buying American bond are also making millions. And in the other hand, it's going to completely damage the American economy, because you will have higher fuel and higher food and energy. It's like a disease. It contaminates everything. In the United States, you will have higher taxes because they are going to have to increase taxes in order to sustain this madness. You are also going to have a very high human cost, especially if Trump decides to put boots on the ground, which is not that far-fetched, because because Iran is not going to lay off. They want to humiliate the United States. They want to take revenge now, and who wouldn't want to take revenge? Also, because of the collateral damage, because if you don't know this, and this is another thing that we have to address and we have to talk about it, Europe does not source its LNG and oil fuel from the Gulf states. We don't. Most of our oil or our LNG comes from the United States, ironically. It comes from Canada, it comes from Algeria, from North Africa, and it comes from places like Nigeria, okay? And also some still comes from Russia. Okay? So you have to understand directly this is not affecting Europe. Like the French president said, yes, we are going to try to protect our allies in the region. Yes, just like Europe has been sending, I think it was Italy, France, and the UK has sent military means to military units to Cyprus to protect it, because Cyprus is a part of the EU, right? Or don't you understand that? And also we have military cooperation agreements with the UK, which is also a part of NATO. The UK didn't invade anyone. The US invaded anyone. But to think that we are going to go beyond that, I think it's a bit of a fantasy. Because you want to know what Europe is going to do about this? They are going to say no, thank you. And we are even going to be glad about it, because this way you won't have enough military might to threaten us further. Because the United States has been militarily threatening Europe. And if you say, oh, but you will lose the bases that are protecting you in Europe, and no, we won't. Okay, we will just replace you for something else. We will replace you for local units. And yes, it's going to cost us. Yes, of course, it's going to cost us. But it's already costing us, because we are already replacing American assets in all aspects except in the nuclear deterrent. And the nuclear deterrent is now being taken over, so to speak, by France. And it will be also by the UK, because the UK is going to drift into Europe again, unless they elect Farage, and then the UK is going to turn into a third world country, basically. And some people think I'm being over dramatic when I say this, but have you seen their program? Have you seen the people that they have leading them? If the United Kingdom elects Nigel Farage to any kind of ruling part, he is going to ruin the country. He's going to destroy the little that is left. And the United Kingdom will disassemble itself. Do you think Scotland will support, will endure a reform government? Do you think they will really do that? Even in Wales, dissent is growing, despite the English colonization that has been happening in the latter years. And do you think Northern Ireland, without the support for their orange phalangists, won't drift back into Ireland again? But that is a subject for another video. But let's continue. What I want you to take from this video that I decided to make right now, sorry I have not been making so many videos, but my time has been a bit consumed by other aspects of my life. But what I want you to take away from this is this: don't let yourself be fooled and fall into this entire emotional vision that people are having of this. Because can the war spread? Yes, the war can spread. Can Europe be forced into doing something? Yes, it can happen. But we have to take this one step at a time. And right now what we have is the United States pummeling Iran, killing civilians, hitting a couple of military targets when they can. We have Trump saying that he wants to decide who is going to be the next president of Iran, or the leader of Iran, or whatever. He's threatening also to intervene in Cuba, and right now they have soldiers in Ecuador fighting a so-called war against drugs. To me, it's a military intervention too, but people apparently are not talking about that. I don't really know why. And this is what we have. And we have a lot of distractions. And meanwhile, you have a president, the United States, you have a president that is being accused of raping children, of trafficking children, and I don't care what you say. I really don't care. I even heard a mega guy tell me that a 15-year-old girl knew exactly what she was doing. And this led me to question two things. Are you sane? And are you an adult male? Because, to me, a 15-year-old girl, no matter how pretty she may be, she's a girl. She's a child. I would not touch her that way. Never. Because it's disgusting. Because she is not a grown woman. Look, I said this in the past, and I will say this again. I have no issues with men or women that choose younger partners, as long as everyone is of age, as long as the woman or the man that is with an older partner, and whatever type of relation it may be, okay, a gay relationship, okay, heterosexual relationship, I have no issues with that. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I think it's ridiculous, but I have no issues with that, okay? I have no issues with a 60-year-old man having a girlfriend in her 20s or whatever. I really don't care, because that woman in her 20s, despite all that people might say or do or say, or man in his 20s, whatever people may say, that person is mature enough to be in a relationship. That is not a child. And there is a reason why we put ages and not feelings as a legal limit in these things. Because they have to exist, god damn it. Because we need to protect them. We need to let that 15-year-old girl develop normally. We need to give children time to develop. Because if we don't do that, we are bloody savages, bloody animals, and you have an animal in charge. You have a person that did all these despicable actions, that is the third most mentioned person in the Epstein files, after Epstein and Ghislaine, and you are still defending that person. And now, look, it comes to this point when you have religious people saying he is bringing about the end times. So you are basing your political opinion in the ideas of someone that wrote a religious text that was meant to be interpreted as a religious text and not a literal text, and that wrote that 2,000 years or more ago, or years ago, and you are trying to transform that into actual science, actual truth, after actual logic. And you tell me I'm not going to swear. How in the hell does this portray reality? There are no holy wars. There are no holy warriors. There are no complex theological explanations for this. There is only one explanation for this, and that is greed and corruption and pettiness. This is a greed conflict. Again, I will tell you this. I have bloody no love for the regime of the Ayatollahs. I consider them religious idiots. But what I can tell you is this: it's not my right to tell the Iranian people what they should do. Neither is yours. As long as they are in their country doing their thing, who cares? You want to know why they intervene all over the Middle East, creating the terrorist cells and all of that? You want to know why they support them? Because of the actions of Israel and because of the actions of the United States. And if you don't like me to listen to me saying this, go and read a bloody book and see who started this shit. Go and see who started to occupy other territories that were not attributed to them in 1946. Go and see who had a solution to all of these issues with a two-state solution. Who had it all solved for the future, for a stable future, without any problems, with the problems that exist from all the problems that exist between states, but that had a stable solution, and that has now put it all in jeopardy because one man started to commit a genocide in Gaza and started to attack his neighbors. Do you think people would sit down and take it? This project of a greater Israel that these nutters keep talking about. You just have to listen to them. And then calling people like me that are calling them out about it anti-Semite. And now I'm going to swear, go fuck yourself. I have no issues with Jewish people. I have no issues with anyone of any faith. I don't care about it. I don't care who you worship. I couldn't give a crap. As long as you keep it inside of your house and inside of yourself. And I'm not trying to destabilize the society in which we live. I don't care. Because that is bloody irrelevant. You want to know why some video games are so famous? Because they have no religion. No religion in a sense. When it's not used for the story, you have characters that are only cherished, so to speak, for their own worth or for their own wickedness, whatever, you know. But it's the character that is valued, because people need an escape from this oppression. This is mental oppression. All of this, it's mental oppression. When you meet someone, if that person is Christian or Muslim or Buddhist, I don't know, or Jew, whatever, you are going to start to judge that person for that. You are not going to judge that person because it's an intelligent person. You're not going to judge that woman because she's very pretty, because you like her, because you want to be with her, whatever. Or that man, you like him and you want to be him. You are not going to judge people by that. You are going to judge that person because of their background. And that is the social response, normal social response. But to that level, it's normal. But when it becomes this, anointing a pedophile as a holy warrior, then we have issues. Look, and it's not up to me to know if that person is a pedophile or not. It's up to the courts. It's up to the justice system. But my issue comes from you trying to transform someone into a god or into some kind of holy warrior or whatever, when all they are doing is lining their pockets with money, wasting resources, and bringing havoc and destruction upon people. And you want to know what? I don't care what is the religion of the civilians being killed by this. I don't care about the religion of the Israeli peoples that might have died with this. I don't care about the American civilians, their religion. I don't care about their religion. I don't care about the religion of the Iranians. I don't care about anything of that. I care that there are bloody civilians that just wanted to live their life in peace and quiet, and then an idiot decides to start a war. And we are always continuously talking about this shit. And it's getting to a point that it's annoying. And let me tell you this. You want to know what will be the worst effect of this to the United States in the future? You want to know what it is? It will be the silent ignoring and the silent removal of them from the Western society, because the rest of the world already hates you. But here in the so-called West, I don't like that denomination. I don't like it. I would much prefer to call it the civilized world, and I would include other countries in this so-called civilized world, not just in Europe, not just Canada or Australia, New Zealand, whatever, But what is going to cause is we are going to ignore you. We are going to ignore you. And I'm curious to see how this World Cup will go. I'm also curious to see how the Olympics will go. I'm very curious about it, because you want to know what? And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to boycott it all. I'm not going to even to see it on the TV. Nothing. I will just completely ignore it. And if I did not have this channel in which I have chosen voluntarily to talk about politics, and if I did not have this channel, I would even not stop talking about it. And I know a lot of bots would love that, but don't worry, okay? YouTube is doing an excellent work in shadow banning videos like mine, with a bad production of a guy talking about politics. But this is what I want to do, and this is how I like to do it. If I want to do something more technically correct, I will do it. I want to improve a couple of things, but I really don't care about it. Because what I'm trying to do with this channel, and I will repeat it again, I have said it in the past, is helping people to think. In the sense of making them see different perspectives, because that is extremely important. If you don't confront your own opinions with the opinions of other people, you are going to become dumb. Because only by seeing different perspectives can you understand what the hell is going on around here. And just look at the profit margins that the military complex in the United States is making. Just look at the profit the people dealing in oil and gas are doing. Just look at it and see to whom this war benefits. Does this war benefit the average American person that is going to the supermarket to buy something to eat, or that is going to work, that is constantly afraid of getting sick because they cannot afford healthcare? Is this going to help an American woman that I saw right here in a video, crying because even paying a health insurance here, because she did not qualify to be a resident. She only had a temporary visa, so she mandatory has to get a health insurance, but that she could afford easily her insulin. And she was crying. And you want to tell me this is normal? You want to tell me, look, my country has a lot of issues. Okay, we have been having issues with healthcare, with politics, with whatever. But there is one thing that none of us have ever lost. If you talk right, look, I'm not in the leftist, so-called to speak, spectrum. Neither am I in the extreme right. I don't like them. I don't like extremes. But if you ask any extremist in the left here, if he would let people go without medical care, or an extremist in the right, would you let people go without care? None of them would say yes. Because there is a bar of decency. A lot of extremists in the right would say we have to pick up all of these foreigners and deport them out of the country. Yes, you would find people that would say that. But you would never find one that would say, put children in cages and assassinate people. I mean, you could find a couple of them because we have dumbasses like everyone else in the world, but you would never find that. You want to know why? Decency. And to me, that is a real issue here. A lack of decency. And all of you that voted for Donald J. Trump as your president, I hope you are satisfied with yourselves. I really do. And I hope that you fully embrace the consequences of your actions. And I hope that all of you Democrats that are right now talking shit in the background and doing bloody nothing, oh no, you're going to win the midterms. Okay, very good for you. Meanwhile, civilians are dying in Iran. This is all I'm going to tell you, because it's getting really annoying. It's really getting to be really annoying to listen to you, because you are not doing anything, because you are not seeing the true source of this war. And when Trump is gone, the disease will still be there, if you are able to get rid of him, because that is also uncertain. Well, thank you all for listening to me. I wish good luck to the people inside of Iran, to the people in the Gulf states, to the people in Israel, and to the people inside of the US. I wish you all good luck, because that is all that I can do. Thank you. Have a good weekend.